this right here. Listen. Yeah. I used to think the truth lived way past the ceiling, somewhere in the sky where I couldn't reach the meaning, or deep in the sea with the pressure in the dark, needing some genius to translate my heart. But you put the word on my tongue when I'm speaking, laid it on my chest when my doubts start creeping. I open up the page, feels close like breathing, command in my ear like a pulse still beating.
It's close to your mouth, it's close in your heart. You don't gotta climb high, you don't gotta sail far. Every step that you take, every breath, every start, what you're looking for now, yeah, it's already in your heart.
I used to say, who's gonna go and bring it back? Waiting on a hero to put me on the track. Blamed everybody else when I slipped, when I fell. Hands on my face, said I'm stuck in the shell. But you wrote life in the lines of my story, right here in the middle of the ordinary. Choice on my lips, path under my feet, blessing in the reach of the words I repeat.
Close to your mouth, it's close in your heart. You don't gotta climb high, you don't gotta sail far. Every step that you take, every breath, every start, just because you're moving, yeah, it's already in your heart.
Yeah. Oh, you ain't too late, you ain't too lost. The word in your bones already paid cost. Speak what is life, let it rise, let it spark. Light in your mouth, a fire in your heart.
Every step that you take, every breath, every start,
Every step that you take,
for now, yeah, it's already in your heart.
already in your heart.
Every step that you take, every breath, every start,
Every step that you take,
for now, yeah, it's already in your heart.
Church, let's sing this out together this morning.
With golden string, our universe was clothed tonight. Pulling at the sea, a once barren world now brimmed to life. That we may fall in love every time we open up our eyes. I guess space and time takes violent things, angry things, and makes them we are the dust of dust. We are the apple of God's eye. We are infinite as the universe we hold inside. Infinity times infinity. Infinity times infinity times infinity. Infinity times infinity times infinity times infinity. Let there be light, let there be light, let me be right. There's dust of dust. We are the apple of God's eye. We are infinite that we may fall in love. Every time we open up our eyes.
For 10 years now, welcome to Paradox Church. Our first church service was February 20, 2016. I have to ask, if you were there, would you please raise your hand at this time? Wow, thank you. Thank you for putting up with me for 10 years. I don't know if you all saw, there was a cake outside. I heard there was a cake. I was not aware I would be a figurine on top of the cake. But wow, what a cake. That is thanks to Tammy Schwald, who's been making cakes for our birthdays for a very long time. Thank you so much, Tammy. This is a picture of my mom, Tammy, and Marilee at our first church service, and then this was us when we completed our 9-year sermon series, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But it's meant a lot that you've made cakes for us every birthday you can get, and we just are so appreciative of you, Tammy. Thank you. Hey, at 3 o'clock today, we have a party in Redlands. It's at Dean Hadley's house. It's not that far from here. If you'd like to go, we'd love to have you. We're going to have hot dogs, bounce houses. You don't have to bounce in the bounce house while you're eating your hot dog. That'd be a lot. But we'd love for you to join us at 3 o'clock. If you need the address, just talk to me after the service. I'd be happy to give it to you. But it's open to everybody, and it's going to be a big party, and we'd love to see you there. As I said earlier, we are commemorating this 10-year anniversary of our church starting. And I have to say, I feel like just such a wide gamut of emotions, particularly because we have several musicians who were at that first church service playing with us today. This is Peter and Jerry, who are right here on bass and drums. It's over on this side. And then Mattie, this is a picture from the second service, because you led worship the second service. So I just am so grateful. And then Rhea also helped a bunch with the services shortly thereafter. She was singing at our church a lot. So we have a lot of reunions here, and we're just so happy to have that. We also thought about the best way to talk about 10 years would be to have people from the church share their perspectives. So we're going to tell the story of the church, and we're going to invite people up to share a little bit about how this part of our church history impacted their life. They're going to talk about what the church has meant to them. And so we have 10 people telling 10 stories, and then we're going to wrap up with 10 questions about Paradox. I have not heard these questions before. It's going to be a great time, but we're so glad you're here for us. You're here with us today, and we just look forward to celebrating with all of you. Before we start, though, we're going to collect an offering. You can give online at paradoxredlands.com/donate, or you can give a bucket that will be passed momentarily. Before we collect the offering, though, we want to invite everyone to reach in their seat backs or underneath their chair and fill out one of these connection cards. These cards make it so much easier for the church staff to serve all of you. And so we're going to take 2 minutes and fill these cards out together. Once the cards are filled out, you can drop them in the offering bucket that will be passed momentarily. You can also drop any offerings, if you so choose, in that bucket as well. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for celebrating with us. Let's take 2 minutes, fill these cards out together, and we'll continue on with our service. Paradox did not start out of nothing. We actually started as a young adult group called Shadow Ministries at a church not too far from here. And a few months into Shadow starting, we started this 9-year sermon series through every book of the Bible. We made it to book 20 before, they kicked us out for being too awesome, I guess. And this is a picture of us at our last church service. And if you look right over here, you will see, I had not met them at this point, but that is Olivia and Kahari sitting there at the last church service. And so, Olivia, if you want to come on up, I've asked Olivia to share a little bit about first experiencing this at Shadow and what she's experienced since. So, Olivia, thank you.
Good morning, It is extraordinarily
Check.
There we go. Yay, Brandon. Well, it is extraordinarily difficult to fully articulate the depth of my feelings as I reflect on my journey here at Paradox. Kahari and I first encountered Paradox through an online service at the Shadow, and then we started going there all the time. Even though it was an online service, I still remember the impression Craig's sermon left on us that day. Having attended church schools from kindergarten through graduate school, I have listened to what seems like countless sermons throughout my life. That experience provided me with a strong spiritual and academic foundation, but it also created certain expectations. Yet that day, something was different. It was a visual extravaganza. And who knew I loved maps so much? But more importantly, the message was not only spiritually meaningful, but intellectually engaging. It invited reflection, it challenged assumptions, and it created space for deeper thought. It was both refreshing and, for me, deeply moving. And it stirred in me a renewed sense of curiosity and openness in my faith. When Shadow turned to Paradox, our time progressed. I have experienced many meaningful firsts here. It was the first time I heard a sermon that respectfully and thoughtfully challenged ideas I had long accepted without question. Rather than creating discomfort, it created growth. It was also the first time a pastor in my entire life invited us to lunch simply to get to know us. Not as members in attendance, but as individuals with stories, questions, and perspectives. I was equally moved when Craig asked us for input on his sermons through the sermon study group. What has impacted me actually most deeply, however, has been the care shown to my family during moments of vulnerability. I had never experienced a pastoral visit in my home or in the hospital. I had never experienced a church that so intentionally extended love beyond the walls of the sanctuary. When Paradox sent my family a care package while we were in the hospital, it was more than a thoughtful gesture. It was a tangible expression of compassion. Paradox has given us far more than a place to worship. You have given us a community where questions are not only welcomed, but celebrated, where faith is strengthened through thoughtful dialogue, and where growth is encouraged. You have created a space where Kahari and I can leave service and continue discussing the sermon together, sometimes agreeing, sometimes disagreeing, but always learning. That process has strengthened not only my understanding, but my faith itself. I have never been part of a community that is so deeply inclusive, steadfast in its beliefs, and unafraid of disagreement. What a paradox. That balance is rare, and to me, it is extremely beautiful. It has taught me that faith is not weakened by questions, but refined by them. With a grateful heart, I want to thank each one of you. You have given us a community, belonging, and friendships that have become family. Paradox has shaped my faith, supported my family, and perhaps most importantly, you have given Kahari and me endless sermon discussions in the car on the way home, where somehow we both are completely convinced we are right, and yet we keep coming back every week.
So our last church service at Shadow was on December 12, 2015, and then everything just kind of went dark. It was a lot of different conversations. Mattie eventually dragged my sorry behind out to coffee once and said, "Could you just start a church?" Which is pretty close to accurate. And so we started whispering amongst ourselves about what would it look like if we started a church. And so after talking to several people individually, we gathered together on January 30, 2016 at the Schofield's house on Russ's birthday. It's very easy for me to remember Russ's birthday because I filled it out on a lot of forms later. And we voted Paradox Church into existence. And this group was known as the founding members. And they thankfully elected me to be their pastor. They put a collar on me made out of paper. That was the first and last time I've worn a collar like that in my ministerial career. But then they also put together a founding board, and this board was elected by them to put together the church bylaws and how the church would operate. And one of those members was Peterson, who will come on up now. There were 7 different members. Mattie, I think you were actually a member of that too, right? Yeah. She was the least informed, she says, but the best singer by far on the founding board. So, although Eric, pretty good?
No,
all right.
No.
So Eric's going to talk about the founding board.
It's the reason I have not sung in front. 10 years is at once a long time and also has flown by. When the shadow was coming to an end, I remember my wife Christine, which, side note, today is our 16th anniversary. So, love you, babe. Not to be outdone. Yeah. She started suggesting that we should just create our own church. Having grown up in a large and structured church, this seemed almost inconceivable. As we started talking about our community and its needs, the idea grew on all of us, and we realized that this was actually possible. After a small group of us met in the Schofield's living room and decided we were really going to do this, we realized that we had very little in the way of structure to help guide an organization. The founding board was established to form that organization, and we met on a pretty regular basis early on to discuss how the church services were going, establish some core beliefs, and discuss where we should be meeting, because back then it seemed like we were in a different place every week. But mostly it was to establish our bylaws. You wouldn't think that bylaws could be exciting, and you'd be right. But they do set the foundation for the organization, and we were adamant in our desire to do it right. We started with an example from another church plant in the Pacific Northwest. We studied and molded the bylaws to fit Paradox in our mission. We made gender inclusion a focus. We ensured the lead pastor was held responsible, and we worked to make sure the organization structure enabled a loving church. After the founding board had accomplished our goal of establishing church governance, we disbanded and formed 2 separate boards with different missions. The elders board was established to protect the spiritual health of the church, while the trustees board takes care of the corporation finances related to the church. I personally love this separation because philosophical discussions about core beliefs and practices in founding board meetings made me realize I wasn't a great fit for the spiritual side. But when there's a spreadsheet and some technical documents to review, I'm your guy. I mentioned Paradox's mission earlier. Defining our mission statement was an extended but valuable discussion in the founding board. Our first proposal was not to see and embrace Jesus Christ in all. And even after settling on that basic idea, it took many rounds of discussion to get the final wording right. I can't imagine our mission statement being any other way now that we've lived it. Seeing and embracing the beauty, wonder, and majesty in all people and all things has been a journey of growth in love and thankfulness. I can't thank Craig enough for pushing to make this mission statement a way of life. We here at Paradox have spent a decade learning to become more loving people, and I think the foundations we set in those initial meetings were instrumental in achieving our goal to see and embrace Jesus Christ in all.
So after we voted the church into existence, we found a place to meet, which was the Mission Gables Bull House, and we held our first church service on February 20, 2016. The week before we had this church service, Kimmy, who was working for JD Bilbao, she told her the story, or she told him the story that we had gone through to start this church. And JD said to Kimmy, "My family will be there on day one," and boy, have they been there ever since. So for 10 years now, Megan, JD, Jasmine, Kylie, Lily, Maya have all been part of this church, and we are so grateful to all of them for being part of it. And to talk about that first church service is Jasmine, who's on the staff as full-time, and she will now share via video. So let's go with that.
Paradox family, I wish I could be with you today. Just want to say happy birthday, Paradox. I can't believe it's been 10 years. Today I am talking about the first ever service of Paradox, and I remember it like it was yesterday. I was a freshman in high school and coming to church with my family, and Kimmy was working for my dad at the time, so she's the one who told us about Paradox. And we decided to check it out, and I remember it being really fun to see other people, and we had cinnamon rolls, and yeah, it's just crazy to think how far the church has come in the past years and how I've come spiritually since my freshman year. And I think that Paradox has been like the perfect place for me to grow spiritually, not only in what I believe, but also in my deconstruction phase. After COVID, I was really doubting everything I was taught growing up about God, and I felt like Paradox was the perfect space for me to handle all those emotions, even though that like I didn't want to handle them. I kind of just wanted to sit in my doubt, and I felt like the people of Paradox wanted to sit in my doubt with me, and I never felt pressured to believe anything or be a certain way. And so Paradox community has really been a huge part in my spiritual growth over the years, and I feel closer to God than I ever did growing up as a kid, and I feel like more called to be a more loving person. Thank you so much for all being here today, and happy birthday, Paradox. Love you guys. Bye.
At that first church service, one of the songs we sang was Vapor, and we looked at the tally, and it is the most commonly sung song here at Paradox. So we'd like to invite you all to stand and sing with us the song Vapor.
Taunts the hearts of men, and we can feel it from within, the beauty of it all, the mystery, the swelling of a voice, a rising sea. mystery of it all. I could never peer within, could never find the words or understand the fullness of a God become a man. Holy, you, oh God, are holy. Trees clap their hands for you, oceans they dance for you. You are holy, infinite and holy. A billion suns rise for you, clouds paint the skies for you, mountains stand tall for you, valleys bow down to you, everything rising to sing our songs to you. Holy, the impossible and holy. Kings become fools for you, kingdoms to ruins for you. Vapor finds ground in you, music finds sound in you. Everything rises, everything rising. Oh, everything rising, singing, oh, oh,
As Eric talked about, we met with the founding board around this table. This is Marilee and Ken's dining room table. We met every week, and we were going through the bylaws, which is a very tedious task. And then all of a sudden, at the end of a meeting, Tammy Schwelt, who was on the bylaws committee, or the founding board, she said, "So what are we doing about Easter?" And I had never planned an Easter service or anything before, and I said, "I'm not sure. Let me get back to you next week." And she's like, "Well, it is 3 weeks away." I was like, "Well, we'll come up with a plan fast then, Tammy." And then Eric suggested, he's like, Stan Appleton said, if you ever want to have anybody over for the church event, just let me know. And I was like, great, how about Easter Sunday? And so Stan and Carol Appleton, some good family friends of mine, I'm friends with their son Carl since I was in second grade, they invited us over, and we had our first Easter sunrise service at Appleton Ranch, and we've done it every year since then. We even broadcast live when it was just me, Mattie, and Jordan during COVID. But this was one of two pictures that I took that day that or I didn't take this one, but the only two pictures I have. There's this picture, and there's also a video of us singing during that first service. And we didn't know at the time that this would become our most valued tradition as a community, going to Easter sunrise service at the Afton Ranch. And so Mattie's going to talk about Easter in just a second, but we're going to have just a quick video clip of what it was like there, that first Easter.
Okay. Easter weekend at Paradox has been one of the many highlights of my experience within this community. I have had the joy of being a part of every Easter weekend here at Paradox since the beginning, except for one, but we're not going to talk about that. To me, Easter at Paradox is a time we set aside as a community to reflect on not only the weight and fullness of the Easter story, but the weight and fullness of the human story. On Friday, we get a chance to gather together in our doubt and darkness and question our very nearness to God. We have done this through services such as Doubt Night, where I got to sing the saddest, angstiest songs of lament that you could imagine. No one's better at planning a service that takes us into the darkest corners of our souls, like Craig. Thanks, Craig. Then at church the next day, we get to sit together in the silence of Holy Saturday, where we feel the weight of the in-between. To me, this is the meat and potatoes part of the human experience, or in my plant-based household, the tofu and potatoes. We are all sort of living in this in-between of darkness and light, and together finding it to be holy. I'm so grateful to be a part of this community. Thank you for living in that in-between. Then, on Sunday, we get together, rain or shine, to witness, or not witness some years, the sunrise onto the hills of Colton, as we celebrate the joy and hope of resurrection all around us. We finish it off with a huge pancake or breakfast burrito party, and in these moments, I truly feel like heaven has come to earth. Singing and laughter, sunshine, and delicious food with people that I love is sort of a soul resurrection in itself. Paradox, thank you for being a place that my soul can be restored, not only on Easter, but every week. That's all, I guess.
Wow, my eyes are sweating. So we moved from the Mission Gales Bull House after about 4 months there. We moved to the Carriage House, and then Brandon Herrmann, if you actually want to come on down, we moved to, after that, the Mission. And boy, was it great to not set up church from a trailer finally. Wow, you have no idea how annoying it was, and yet wonderful at the same time. We met at the Mission, and we started on December 17 of 2016, I believe. My son was born on December 12 of 2016, and we actually had a guest speaker the first day. And it required a lot of adjustments and different things. I actually got a picture of Brandon Herrmann mixing on this soundboard, which you mixed on that. It's over here, Brandon. Oh, yeah, that picture. You have no idea how much of an act of love it was for all of us that Brandon mixed on this soundboard for a while. So, Brandon, do you want to talk a little bit about the Mission and moving there?
It's kind of fun to be on this side of the soundboard. How y'all doing? So, I'm Brandon Herrmann. If you don't know me, I look down on you from above. I'm that guy. So if you're the kind of person that's really worried about the mirror and all the angles to get your hair just right, I'm the one who notices, and I appreciate it. Thank you. You're seen. When we were talking about this, starting this church from the beginning, kind of the thing that was one of the things that was talked around is Would we rather be the sort of people who are just fine dealing with the issues and nonsense in like a puddle of other people's issues and nonsense, just like a puddle? And we kind of decided that, nope, that's probably not going to be us. We want to jump headfirst into a pool of our own making. So what we started as a mobile church, we had all those crazy issues, and it was chaotic, and it was awesome. But then we got to change that chaos to another kind of chaos where we had a static church, but it was just a different kind of chaos. We had another church, we had to share a space. We had 2 tiny little projectors that were blended together. You could see a bright, who remembers the bright white stripe? Yeah, it was good times. And if any of the lights were on in the sanctuary, you couldn't see the screen. So that was the first thing we did. We worked on that. We got that where we needed it to be. It was exciting. So now we can see the screens, but we couldn't really see. Did a little bit of work with the lighting at this point, but not too much. We got the sound system good. You saw that board? Yeah, that board it was fine. It's fine. Sound went through it. It's okay. That's my face. You can judge how I felt about it from that face right there. It was a little bit surly, maybe. But I had been mixing on the iPad, so I was happy. I was happy to have physical buttons to move up and down, made me feel like we were making progress. We moved from there. We got a new soundboard put in. That was exciting. But all this, we ended up, we redid the whole stage. We rewired the stage, rewired the lights. We rewired a lot. And it was... Sure. You can be nice and polite, but it was really exciting. It was messy, it was chaotic, but it was a lot of fun. I loved it. Once we got the sound system kind of dialed in, then they were like, oh yeah, you can't be in this building anymore. You have to stay at your house because there's a disease. And so then we're like, oh, okay. And so then we pivoted on the spot. It was like, you all remember, there was 2 weeks. And they're like, okay, no NBA, and now you have church at home. And so we're like, what does that even mean? So we ended up solving that technical challenge where we had people in different houses. Some of you were part of that, and that was awesome. You'd log in, and we'd talk to you on FaceTime. While we were talking on FaceTime, you'd stream all to a server I built in my house, and then we'd pump it out to the Facebooks and the YouTubes, and it was chaotic. And I spent a year of my life, just me and Craig, locked in eye contact with the only people there. And so I was like, man, you got to do this for Craig. He needs an audience. So I was like, it worked out. I had to be the whole audience. It's good times. But we made it work. It was chaotic. It was messy. It was enjoyable. I loved it. And I've seen so many things change since we've been here. Just look at Jasmine. When we started, Jasmine was a freshman in the school that I taught at. And now she's the boss of me here as the producer. And I'm like an unlicensed plumber. So change is messy and chaotic. So to bring it back, though, I love where we're currently at. I've watched the congregation grow. It gets louder in a good way. There's just chaos. It's bustling. It's not like it was, no offense, during COVID. Like a cat would wander around. I was like, get away. But it's really easy to grow up to think that everything you're doing, I skipped a step. Some of the kids even here, as they're growing up, they might grow up later and say, you know, everything we're doing right now is just, it's silly. It might happen because everything's a little bit messy and chaotic, but I wouldn't change that at all. We're the mess. We're the chaos. If you take away that mess and you take away that chaos, you lose the community. And I love the community here. I love what we've made. I love our little congregation that sometimes is maybe a puddle, sometimes it's an ocean, and it's chaotic and glorious. I love it, and I love you all. Thank you.
Thank you, dude. That meant a lot. Oh man, this is so. I'm enjoying this. I hope you all are too. So after we instituted the bylaws, we actually had elder elections, and we elected, I believe, 12 elders to the first board, and we would meet around my dining room table, which is pictured here. And one of the first elders elected was Abbey Thomas, who is going to come on up now. One of the first things we started talking about with the group of elected elders is we talked about whether or not we were going to be an open and affirming church. And so we talked about it, we prayed about it, we worked on it together. And on August 4 of 2018, we read our elders' statement, officially making us an open and affirming church. And so Abby's going to talk a little bit about that at this time.
Hi, everyone. My name's Abbey. I've served on the elder board since we began 10 years ago, and it has been just an honor to watch this community grow. I'm incredibly proud of the work the elder board, has done to write down our values, specifically our commitments to empowering women, fighting racism, and affirming the LGBTQ+ community. Today, I want to share some of my behind-the-scenes experiences leading to our LGBTQ+ affirmation statement. When Paradox first formed, we were seeking how to live out our mission statement to see and embrace Jesus Christ in all. Early on, Craig asked the elders to ordain him, or if we would ordain him, to perform marriages for any couple, regardless of gender or sexual identity. At the time, we were still nomadic, hopping between a handful of locations in Redlands and relying heavily on word of mouth to grow. We had long, passionate discussions about what this would mean for the spiritual health of our young church. And what the community didn't know then was that I was a mostly closeted, bisexual young woman paying very close attention to which way the winds were blowing. In the political climate of 2016, 2017, there was fear and uncertainty. I sat in those board meetings listening to the very same questions I was asking in my own soul. Is it safe? Am I safe? I witnessed an elder board that held space for respectful differences and deep empathy. We chose to move forward with the ordination, and not too long after, we commissioned a committee of queer individuals to write our first public statement of affirmation. That statement wasn't just a document for our website. It became the foundation for a lot of the joy we experience today. Every year since, we've held at least one Pride service, sometimes even a whole month's worth, where the elders read our statement from the front. Those services are some of my favorite moments at Paradox. The joy is infectious, and I have learned so much from the queer speakers who have shared their hearts with us. None of that would be possible if we hadn't been brave enough at the beginning to put our values into words. Personally, this community has changed my life's trajectory. In my previous church experiences, a queer person's journey of self-discovery was framed as walking away from God. But at Paradox, I learned that to see and embrace Jesus Christ in all also includes learning to love and accept myself. I stand in awe of all the brave individuals here who have been more courageous than me. As someone who married a cis straight man, I'm fully aware of the privilege to pass. But being part of a church that writes its own values on its walls gave me courage to stop hiding. Most importantly, I'm so grateful that my kids get to grow up in a place where this kind of inclusion and authenticity is just their normal. This community is a sanctuary of hope and a gift I do not take for granted. Thank you for 10 years of being a safe place to land.
Oh, man, my heart is full. I hope your heart is full as well. We're going to do a song. I'm sorry. I don't even know where we are anymore. Something we're committed to. as Abbey talked about, is kind of eliminating the idea of there's us and them. And so there's a song that speaks about this eloquently that we love singing here, and we'd love for you to sing it with us today. If you would stand and sing with us, Us for Them.
When the lines are drawn, when you're in or out, when it's us or them, and we shame the doubt, it is all a lie. All we ever really need is love. There's no need to shed more blood. Look upon the cross. Look upon the cross. See the face of Christ. See the mercy in his eyes. Every valley shall be lifted high. Now our enemies are blessed. The heavy laden rest. For his judgment is love. His judgment is love. There is no more guilt. There is no more shame. All our darkest sin, all our deepest pain. Blessed are the poor, all the lonely, broken, lost, and torn. See, a kingdom comes to us. A war that's fought with love. Our only war is love. Prepare the way of the Lord, wielding mercy like a sword. Every mountain top will be made low. No, he holds the earth like dust, and his judgment comes to us, and his judgment is love. His judgment is love. Sing this with me. We will not fight their wars. We will not fall in line. 'Cause if it's us for them, it's us for them, it's us for them. We reject the either or. They can't define us anymore. 'Cause if it's us for them, it's us for them, it's us for them. Because it's us for them, it's us for them, it's us for them. Prepare the way of the Lord, wielding mercy like a sword. Every mountain top will be made low. No,
I took this picture on March 7, 2020 with no idea that this would be the last time we met for a church service in 60 weeks. After this, the pandemic took over the country, and we had to go to remote church. We once did, for 1 week after this, we did a church where we all filmed things at the church, and then from there we went to our homes, just like Brandon talked about. And it was a pretty tough time where everything just went kind of dark, but we set up a studio in my living room and felt like a televangelist from my living room talking about the Bible and different things. And as Brandon said, something that was unique about our church is we didn't pre-record segments to start with. We actually would have multiple live sites. And so we'd beam in the Silvestris from their house, or the Kattenhorns from their house, or Olivia and Kahari from their house. And then we'd also have people share live their celebrations and lamentations for the week. And so we had like Hillary and Tammy and several others participate. After doing that for a while, we started to pre-record some of the segments. We always kept the sermon live, but we moved to my parents' driveway, which I had no idea was a recording studio before COVID. And it was actually here that my daughter played drums in the praise band for the first time. And it was pretty challenging time. And at the same time, there was a real benefit because a lot of people experienced Paradox that never probably would have if we just stayed within our brick and mortar homes. And so one of those people was DeLeon, who I want to invite up at this time. But it just allowed us to meet people that we never thought may have liked Paradox or not. And so we're very excited to have Daisy here to talk a little bit about her first experiencing Paradox and from there on. So please join me in welcoming Daisy.
Well, when we hear the word COVID, a lot of things go through our mind. And even though that for us, the pre-COVID season started very exciting, something new. We were in New York when COVID was at the beginning. My grandkids wanted something to fulfill the dream, which is supposed to be able to be and see the dropping of the ball right there where it was happening. And to do that, we had to be there on the 31st in the morning, doing line for the whole day, where thousands of people lined up to be able to see the ball dropping. That was exciting. I am blessed that God spared us from having COVID at that. But they loved it. They had a great time, and I managed to get there like a couple of minutes right before the ball dropped, and I took pictures. So I was there, not the whole time, right? But I managed to be there. But as a Seventh-day Adventist, the Sabbath has always been very special for me. It's been a blessing, certainly a blessing in my Christian life and my journey. I consider it a gift from God, a day of rest and worship. So when COVID hit our community, churches were closed. And that changed everything because our family, instead of going to church, worship at home, watching the service on the TV. How exciting. So, it was on a Sabbath while still in bed, preparing to watch the service on the big screen at home, that my figure was scrolling through the iPhone. Isn't that great, being in bed and having figures scrolling through the iPhone, when I came across Paradox. It was right there. It was God-given. I was on Facebook, and I found Paradox. And I was elated. I couldn't believe it. I said, these people are Christian Adventists, and look at it. And I was in awe. One of the things that took me completely out of this world was the music. Because I found that the songs were purpose-driven. Each one has something, a social component that meant something to me. And I identify with it, and I just loved that. I loved the sermons that Craig prepared, because 40 plus years being in the church, I pretty much could recite so many sermons. But I could not even come close to it, even understand half of one of his. Because I wanted to understand, the Bible part was easy for me, but the other part, the slides, the videos, the history, oh my goodness, I was fascinated. Knowledge for me is always a challenge, and I will not be missing an opportunity to learn more. And having the opportunity to be on a Sabbath, to worship, to learn, and to share the Bible was very special for me. So there I was on Facebook learning about Paradox. And there I had the first opportunity to come live. Because even though, Facebook says live, you hear the music, and even though it was Paradox, I loved, and I just learned what. I always wanted to know where was that park in the Paradox. Now I know, when I was trying to write this, I don't know the name of the park. Now I know it was the Hadley's home. How wonderful it was. To call it the driveway, I call it the park, the beautiful. I was writing all these words, but I couldn't, anyway. So what did I like about Paradox? I like the music, the social message in the songs, the inviting, inclusive concept of the Paradox community, and of course, Pastor Greg Hadley presentations. How could I not? I felt alive. This is a place I could fit in, I told myself. I discovered an oasis, a spiritual community where I developed a strong sense of belonging, my spiritual niche, and a place I greatly enjoy because it's home and I belong. Paradox is a place where Paul McCartney, I'm a Beatles fan. I dated myself for a while. Well, my grandkids, by the way, love the Beatles, so you can date me with them if that's possible. So I was saying that Paradox is a place where Paul McCartney could sing, "Let It Be." And I would respond, "I will be." And I can imagine a service with them here singing, and me singing with them. McCartney connected the lyrics of the song, "Let It Be," with Hamlet's famous soliloquy, "To be or not to be," which is the ultimate paradox of life. What I have experienced at Paradox is transformative. I have felt the love of Paradox members and the power of the prayer groups. I have received the thoughtful gifts, visits, presents, baskets during my disease and my recovery. More recently, after the unexpected death of my husband, I experienced the love and kindness that characterizes Paradox, but deep in my heart. But it really touched me in a very special way. The cards, the gift baskets, the flowers, the books, and the meals. Oh, thank God, those meals. They were lifesaver, You cry and cry, but you get hungry too. And it was good to have good food. And I enjoyed the good food. The love and kindness that I experienced at Paradox is beyond words. I can say that beyond the visits and all the blessings that I received at Paradox, the opportunity to be able to experience that in this community where I belong, where I'm part of, are a healing and a balsam in a time of deep sorrow. Paradox is Christ's hands in Redlands, and a living testimony of the power of love, forgiveness, and service. You are Paradox. I am Paradox. We are Paradox. Praise God for the miracle of life. Thank you all for being part of this community and for the love that in so many ways you inspire. You don't have some time to say anything, but by being here and look at me saying hello, I feel that I belong. So, Pastor Hadley, the time that you told me about Paradox in a meeting, and you talk, and I asked you, so will LGBTQ be welcome there? And you said yes. I was trying so hard to truly believe that. When I came here, my first Sabbath, I found a young man and we started talking. And I said, this is a place that I can be part of. So, God bless you all. I spoke more than my 4 minutes. I'm in trouble already. I'm in trouble, so here's the microphone.
All right, Daisy, you convinced me. Facebook's not that bad. After 60 weeks, we had our first in-person gathering at Appleton Ranch. It was Easter 2021, and it was something else. I was very nervous. People were like, should we be here? But we wore masks and did our best to social distance. But then we started coming back. We actually had people register for 2 church services. And Paradox really started to come into its own about that time. And I remember we were kind of trying to find our identity, coming back from COVID and going back to in-person services. And a family showed up that I knew from high school, and that was the Davamoni family and the Crawford family. So I actually want to invite Nelita to come on up right now. And this family, when they showed up, just made our church so much better. I mean, we have chai every week, you guys. Do you realize what a gift that is? And so I've asked Nelita to talk about this time in our church's history.
First, so I can see what I'm saying. Jasmine asked me a few weeks ago to put some words down about Paradox after COVID, and I said yes. And then in the weeks that followed, I felt no. Because you can't really talk about Paradox after COVID without talking about COVID. And COVID is a weird thing to remember collectively because for some, it was just an inconvenience, and for some, it upended their world, their jobs, their health. They lost people they loved dearly. They lost their faith in people. Mine was more latter than the former. I'd found reprieve in the previous year not going to church. David, the kids, and I traveled around the U.S. for 1 year in an Airstream. And it was just as magical and as stressful as you can imagine. Not being around people after COVID, after George Floyd, was, especially as an educator, freeing. Not going to church, not being connected to community from a sense of obligation or tradition was the reset that I needed. Can we say deconstruction? Okay, thank you. So we moved to California after that year. David and I switched careers, kids switched schools. When we came back to California, I had seen a clip of Craig on Facebook. Facebook was a scary place after COVID, during COVID. So, I'd seen a clip of Craig on Facebook talking about something. I don't remember what it was. And I also remember there was some snarky comment from Brandon on that post. I don't remember what that was either, but I think that's his general persona on Facebook. Anyways, so that clip kept playing uninvited in my head for a few weeks. And I declared, I declared one day that we were going to church. And I had to drag everyone to church. And I just wanted to see what Paradox was all about. I also didn't have high hopes. I expected to feel and see things that cemented and affirmed my choice to have distance from church because deconstruction. I had to convince everyone, like I said. Anyways, that first day, 2 things happened. One thing was that was said on stage. Sermons are meant to start discussions. There we go. Disagreement was encouraged and established as part of being in a community. And I don't know what happened, but I wanted to be around this particular group of people. I don't know what changed inside me, but there was an energy that I couldn't put into words. It was an energy that we needed as a family. Dang it, I was like, I'm not gonna cry. And we made this community part of our family history. We became part of Paradox's history. And after all the losses we felt in COVID, finding a community where my ideas were encouraged. Thank you, Donna, for getting excited about children's museums. Not a perfect community, but a healthy community. Unexpected, but as Bob Ross says, a happy accident.
During COVID, I came across an artist named John Lucas, and there's a couple songs that he wrote that I found to be so beautiful. One of them was Stained Glass, and I remember during COVID, I kept thinking, one day we're going to get to sing this song together again, and we've introduced it It's one of our regular songs, but I'll never forget singing that song together with you for the first time once we came back from COVID. So we'd love for you to stand and sing that song with us now.
All right, Paradox, let's sing this out together. We're all stained glass windows, bracing for the storm. Borders of steel are high, we're just flashing balls. Teach me forgiveness, mercy, mercy for my own skin. That I may see you in the distance, oh refugee coming. For every sister, every stranger holds the face of God. Sing it out. Oh, I hold the face of God. We're all stained glass windows, bracing for the storm. Borders of steel hiding, we're just flesh and bones. Teach me forgiveness, mercy, mercy for my own sin. That I may see you in the distance, oh refugee coming. For every brother, every stranger holds the face of God. Sing it out. We hold the face of God. We hold the face of God. We hold the face of God. Let the light
On August 3, 2013, before Paradox was a church, when we were The Shadow, we started a 9-year, 66-part sermon series through the entire Bible. And on September 24, 2022, we finished that series against all odds, it felt like, between getting kicked out of a denomination and then also COVID and coming back. Just lots happened. But somebody who's been there pretty much since the beginning is a man named Manfred Schroer, who has spent a lot of days in church. And one thing that he has told me frequently is he says to me, I can't believe how much I can learn in church from a sermon. And so I've invited Manfred to talk about this Bible series and finishing it. So will you please join me in welcoming Manfred?
First attended this church, I was walking on 1 cane. Sometime later on 2 canes. Now with a walker. I don't know what comes next. Probably heaven. Well, paradox my story. While my wife Gabriela and daughter Andrea attended The Shadow, the spiritual predecessor of Paradox, I usually attended the gathering place at church in Loma Linda. Sometime later, Gabriela asked me to join them for the ordination of the youth pastor there, someone named Craig Hadley, at the Redlands SDA Church. Although I had never heard of Craig, I was familiar with his father, Roger, and had been operated on by a Dr. Hadley, either Craig's uncle or great-uncle, more than 50 years ago. While I enjoyed the ordination service, I had not then decided to attend that church thereafter. That changed somehow later. Gabriela and Andrea invited me to attend the first service of a new church called Paradox, located on Eureka in Redlands, in the same block where I once owned a house, number 188. The church location was 168. I wish I still owned it, thinking I could have lived practically next door to the church I would thereafter attend regularly, although Paradox had since moved its location a couple of times. The first service 10 years ago focused on the book of Acts, somewhere in the middle of a series of going through the entire Bible. The presentation was so new, so different, and so incredibly interesting that I never returned to my previous church. I was lamenting that I missed every Bible book prior to the sermon on Acts, which Craig presented before the establishment of Paradox. Thus, I was grateful when the pastor announced that he's now going through the entire Bible again. Gabriela and I mostly attended church together, but during one stay in Mexico City, the Sabbath school teacher leader spoke derogatorily about the Catholic Church. Gabriela was offended and didn't want to attend anymore. I realized that I, in the past, had sometimes been guilty of similar behavior. I'm grateful that such cruelty does not exist at Paradox. Once I greeted a visitor here after church. It was Fritz Guy, the former president of La Sierra University. I had become acquainted with him in 1958 at Atlantic Union College, where I was a freshman, and later through my activities with the Association of Adventist Forums. He observed and said, "Only you and I wear suits here today." I told him that I was attending another engagement after church, and I wanted to wear a suit for that. I am, at 87 years old, one of the oldest people in this community. I am so very grateful to have found a church which does not discriminate in any way, and I'm thankful to now and for the last 10 years to have had my spiritual home here.
That was beautiful. After we wrapped up that series, we were asked to find a new home, and we came across First Baptist Church, and this is what this room used to look like when we first got here. Then we started working on it, and when I say we, I mean Brandon Herrmann. He built this stage right here, and then also anything that you see that's hung, that's operational right now, he had to do, and I'm just so glad we made it through all this. If you see there's Brandon up on the scaffolding, hanging those lights up there. He hung these lights, and that was a pretty exciting time. That was August 16, 2024. I point that out because our first service in this building was August 17, 2024, and I was not sure we were gonna make it. And it's been a real home here for us, and we've just really enjoyed it. And so I invited Marissa Picazo, who writes on her connection card nearly every week about how much she loves church. And so we do this for people like Marissa. And so Marissa, we want to invite you to come on up, and we want you to share a little bit about your experience with Paradox.
Hi everybody, my name is Marissa Picazo, and what I love about Paradox is that it is very loving. By the moment you walk in, you get extremely loved, and I love making new friends here, and I love doing the art projects that you do at the kids' church upstairs, and I love the delicious food that the kindly people make for us today. I love hearing Pastor Craig talk, and I love learning about Jesus in a very loving place.
One of the signature things about our church is Paradox Unscripted. And when looking back at how to talk about the last 10 years, we thought it would be fun to do a little unscripted here. I asked Pastor Kim Krogstad, who spent 38 years as a Lutheran minister. 40, you know. You were ordained for 38, is that right? Yeah.
Only 38 were good.
Oh, that's... So... we thought it'd be fun for her to come up with 10 questions. I have not heard these before, and I'm going to do my best to answer them. I am conscious of the time, so I will keep my answers as brief as I can until she asks something that's really complex and difficult, and then I'll be like, well, we're here for a while, guys. So, Kim, what have you got?
So we met about 3 years ago in February. So you've known me for a little while. You know how I am. you asked me to come up with these questions.
I did.
What were you thinking?
Was that the first question? I was thinking I needed someone enlightened to ask these questions, so I came up with you.
Okay. So as I think about the beginnings of churches, I think about Martin Luther, who was on a horseback. There was a thunderstorm, and he was afraid for his life, and he fell off, and he said, I will find a church. Or John Wesley, who was in a church meeting, and he felt his heart strangely warmed. And so now to that illustrious list of people who have inspired churches, I now add Mattie. Over a cup of coffee, no thunderstorm or warm heart. So what made you think of starting a church, besides Mattie, that would not be tethered to a church to help you with organization and support and all that kind? What made you think you could do this?
Great question. So we had met with the Shadow for 2 years, so it wasn't really us starting a new church, it was keeping a community together. And because the majority of people here have Protestant roots, everybody assumed that when we were starting a church, we were protesting something. If anything, we were protesting the fact that people were trying to break up our community. And so the question was, do we want to keep meeting? And this was where Mattie talked to me. It was where a lot of you here talked to me. I talked to you individually. And we talked about, we love the Shadow, and we want to keep going. We did try to tie it to a big global denomination and organization, so that way, we'd have our own HR department. But it just wasn't an option. And we're not really sure why, other than they said the Lord works in mysterious ways, and I'm like, is that a no? And so we tried, but at the end of the day, we felt like God was calling us to keep this this church going and this community going, and so that's really what it was more than anything else.
What were 3 things you hoped for as you began this adventure together?
The first thing I hoped for was that we wouldn't just be another church. I remember at the first Paradox, we had a Q&A session afterwards, and a woman, the second question that was asked, a woman that I don't know who it was, she asked, does Redlands really need another church? And while I said yes, because it would have been real strange if I would have said no, I think the answer is yes and no. No, we don't need just another church, but yes, we need a different kind of church. And so I hope that when people come to this church, they feel like we're not trying to copy somebody or copy a church in Australia. Instead, we're just doing what we do because we feel like it's the most genuine expression of love. The second thing is I would hope that when people interact with this church, that they feel like it helps them to become a more loving person. You may believe differently than me. I actually think that you all believe something differently than me. But
Thanks
the
be
goal,
to God.
Thanks be to God. And I think that when we talk about that and what that means, I think that more than anything, it's why are we here and what are we doing? And if we can all agree that we're trying to approach this life with more love, that's worthwhile. And a third thing, I just wanted to keep hearing like Mattie and Rhea sing and Jerry play bass and Peter play drums. So really that's what it came down to. We've added Jeremy and Brad to the mix.
So it's all about you.
Yes. I just really like the music. What can I say?
Okay. Where did you see God in those early years?
Where did I see God in those early years? The first service that we held was like a real sense of the divine among us. I'm reading a book called The Boys in the Boat, which is about the 1936 U.S. men's Olympic rowing team. And the author frequently talks about how these men felt like they were touching the divine when they rowed together and they found their swing, is how they talk about it in row speak, which I just learned in this book. I felt the same way, not with rowing, because it's just rowing, but I felt the same way in just being in community with this group of people. And so that first Saturday we were back, just seeing people again and being like, we thought this was lost. We thought it was gone, and then it somehow, some way showed up in a very unexpected form. I felt like God was very much among us on that day.
A 9-year sermon series?
Yes.
Twice? I should ask you, twice? What do you love about preaching?
I feel like the world right now is getting shallower and shallower in the fact that we have an event happens, we all pay attention to it for about 7 or 8 minutes, it feels like. Everybody has an instant reaction, and then we're all of a sudden moved on to something else. And when we can slow things down and tap into something that has long since passed and go to ancient words that have meant something not only to the present day, but also to our spiritual ancestors for generations before, it helps us to rise above the madness of today's day and age. And there's something beautiful about taking something old and timeless, and you know it's going to be around long after we're all dead, and making it match the current moment. Because Stephen King, when he talked about on writing, he said, really, writing is always about 2 ideas and how you combine them. He talked about how all you need is a spaceship and a plumber, and all of a sudden you have a story. And for me, that's what the Bible does every week, which is you have the present moment and the Bible, and we have a story. And so I hope that people find hope in this. I hope that it helps them to live deeper. And I found that with preaching, that can lead people to live like that.
Karl Barth said that when you preach, you have the Bible in one hand and the newspaper in the other.
That's great.
And you need to have both of those in order for it to be the Word of God for that place and that time.
That's beautiful.
So ministry's not easy. It is very hard work, so much a part of that. And there are many competing demands and expectations, not only from the congregation, but from ourselves, and most especially from God. So first off, it takes a lot of support and a safe place. And so I want to take the opportunity to thank Kimmy and Maya and Bodhi for being that safe place.
Amen. That's my answer.
I have a dog, so
Yeah.
that doesn't say anything to me, but just nods her head. But how have you felt God's presence and leading and blessing, especially during those tough times? How have you felt God's presence during that time?
I mean, COVID was really hard for me. I mean, it was really hard for everyone here. Some of us buried loved ones, and it was really hard to say goodbye. And there was just so much anxiety, depression, adjustment, all of that. And yes, it was just Brandon and me on a live stream, and I felt like I was just speaking out into nothing, right? At the same time, it was calling people and actually talking to them and hearing kind of their experience. I remember just calling people at random, and we talked for 20, 30 minutes, which seems like forever now. And just realizing that we were all in this together and that we were all doing our best to kind of move through these things. It was really one of the things that helped me experience that connection that I would label as the divine. I would just add that it seems like whenever we suffer together, one of the things that's really important for us to remember is that we are not alone. And so any way that we can find that connection, I think, is the work of God.
What's your favorite church joke?
I don't
that you can tell.
This isn't a good one. It's the first one I've got. So it's just the first one that popped in my head. It's like, when does the Bible first mention baseball? You're disappointed. Genesis 1:1, in the big inning. Yeah.
Where are motorcycles mentioned in the Bible?
I don't know.
Joshua's triumph was heard throughout the land.
Oh, get it. I get it.
What kind of car did the apostles drive?
I don't know.
Well, we read that they were all in one accord.
See, I was raised with much more reverence than you, I think. Can't make those jokes.
I better start while I'm ahead. What do you think makes church Paradox unique in this community and for this community? Why would someone come in and choose Paradox as opposed to a normal church?
I think it's people who are ready to either admit that they're deconstructing or have gone through deconstruction. And I think that we don't ever ask anybody to believe anything they can't prove. We do ask people to try and trust things and trust ideas. And that's a reason why we have so many people here who identify as atheist or agnostic. We have several couples here where one partner is atheist or agnostic and the other is Christian. And rather than saying, like, you have to believe this story is true to be part of this church, it's what does this story mean? So the example I like to use is when Jesus fed the 5,000. Is the most important part of that story that Jesus literally and historically fed 5,000 people? No. Is the most important part is that there were people in charge who were saying there's not enough food for everyone, and then Jesus found a way to make it so that there was food for more than enough people? Yes. And so we are called to feed the hungry. So who cares if you believe that story is literally and historically true if you miss that point? And so that's the kind of person that I think would find a home here rather than a normal church.
So I asked you at the beginning, what were 3 things that you hoped for Paradox at the beginning? So what are 3 things you hope for Paradox for the next 10 years?
I think authenticity has to be at the top of the list. I feel like we have been authentic to this point. We've done the best we can, but if we lost that, I would feel like we've surrendered something of value. As I heard people speak to this morning, just sticking with those things. Moving forward, of course, want to move into the building with the building project. That will be within the next 10 years, my friends. And then the third thing, when we had our first elders meeting, it was the first or second, I can't remember, we talked about moving this from an I to a we. And there was a lot of people, like I was doing a lot of the church work and I was doing a lot of the leading. And when we asked people, we asked the elders, like, what do you love about this church? A lot of people talked about what I did. And, our church was only 4 months old at that point. And we talked about how can we move this from a you or an I to a we. And just listening to everybody talk today, I heard the word we a lot. And I would want even more of that, where it's more we and less I or you. So that's the 3 things I'd pick.
If 10 years ago your younger self could ask you today, was it worth it? What would you say?
Ironically, I've actually kind of had this experience because 2 years ago, a guy from Nebraska found me on the internet, and this is what happens about 2 or 3 times a year for me. They find out that I was part of a denomination and that we started our own church, and so they call me and they ask, like, so should I do this and what does it look like? And so this guy from Nebraska, they're actually celebrating their 1-year church anniversary today. He called me, and we were talking about logistics, like EIN numbers, founding boards, bylaws, 501c3 applications, and talking about all the steps that you took there. And toward the end, he said, so is it worth it? And I know on a 10-year anniversary service, you're supposed to say, yes, and it was the best decision of my life. But that's not what I said, and I value authenticity. What I said was a 3-part answer. I said, yes.
Of course, 3.
There you go. Yes, it will rip your heart out, but yes. And I think for me, what's funny is I look back at that, and that's the spiritual journey that we're all on, right? The yes is construction, the it will rip your heart out is deconstruction, and the but yes is reconstruction. And so is it worth it? Yes. Has it ripped my heart out? Yes. Why? Because I put my heart into it, and other people have put their heart into this as well. And I hope that the lesson from today is not, oh, you need to put your heart into this church. I hope that this church's legacy is that it encourages you to put your heart into something good, rather than being somebody who just sits back and observes other people living. That you would more fully go into life and put your heart into something that you believe in, that you think makes the world a better place. Because for the past 10 years, I've seen you do it, and I've seen your heart get ripped out, and then I've seen you say yes again. So is it worth it? Yes. It will rip your heart out, rip my heart out, but yes again.
I am very honored to be a part of Paradox. 40 years of being a pastor in a church, that this is a place where I feel like I have lots to learn and still can grow. And yes, it's worth being a member of Paradox. Thank you, Craig.
All right, let's stand and sing this song together. Sing this out together. There's a world at war, caught in suffering, silent casualties. Oh God, grant us peace. In these sleepless nights, I can hardly breathe despite brutality. I know that we'll I know that we'll be free. So let the light in, keep it shining. Let it break into the darkness. All the love there's us to see. We'll all be free. Sing it out. In these desperate times, love will hold us here. Love will join our just to have no fear. So we lay our head down to wash their feet. When we see our brother, we'll all be free. Yes, we'll all be free. So let the light in, keep it shining. Let it break into the darkness. All the love us to see, we'll all be free. So let the light in, keep it shining. Let it break into the darkness. All the love there's us to see, we'll all be free. Alright, we sing this out. We'll be free, free. We'll all be free. We'll be free. Free, we'll all be free. Sing it out. We'll be free, free. We'll all be free. Oh, we'll be free, free. We'll all be free. Oh, we are free, free. We'll all be free. Oh, we are free, free. We'll all be free. So let the light in, keep it shining. Let it break into the darkness. All the love there's us to see. We'll all be free. So let the light in, keep it shining. Let it break into the darkness. All the love there's us to see. We'll all be free. We'll all be free. We'll all be free.
You may be seated. We're going to do communion together, so I want to invite Thomas, Minori, and Cheryl to come up and help me serve. Long time ago, the Apostle Paul wrote about the first communion with these words. He wrote, and when Jesus Christ had given thanks, he broke it and said, "This is my body, which is for you. Do this in remembrance of me." In like manner, also the cup after supper, saying, "The cup is the new covenant in my blood. This do often as ye drink it in remembrance of me. For as often as ye eat this bread and drink this cup, ye proclaim the Lord's death till he come." And so we want to invite everybody to join us for communion. If you have not joined us for communion before, we're going to line up in either aisle. When you get to the front, you'll receive a piece of bread. If you need a gluten-free option, just ask. And then you'll take that piece of bread to the cup. In the cup, there are two options. One is red wine, and the other is white grape juice without alcohol. You'll dip the bread into your selected option, and then you'll eat the combined symbols, and we hope that you feel affirmed in your humanity. And we hope that this stays with you. If you need assistance in your seat afterwards, just raise your hand and we'll be happy to serve you. But at this time, all are welcome at the table of God.
church, let's stand together and sing this last song this morning.
Through the darkness, through the fire, in my human heart's desire, your love remains. Your love remains. Though I stumble, though I falter, through my weakness, you are strong. Your love remains. Your love remains. And oh my soul, it cries, oh my soul, it cries out, soul, it cries out, soul, it cries out. Through my failure, through my heartache, through my healing, in my pain, your love remains. Your love remains. Though I stumble, though I falter, through my weakness, you are strong. Your love remains. Your love remains. And oh my soul, it cries, oh my soul, it cries, cries out, soul, it cries out. Through division, through injustice, through the hatred of my brother, your love remains. Your love remains. I can feel you pressing forward, bringing us to one another. Your love remains. Your love remains. Oh my soul, it cries, oh my soul, it cries, oh my soul, it cries, oh my soul, it cries out, soul, it cries, it cries, it cries, it cries out.
Will you please pray with me? Dear God, for the last 10 years, we say thank you. And for the next 10 years, we ask our deepest prayer, which is be with us and show us how you can be found in all things. In the eternal name of Christ and the human name of Jesus, amen. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for everything. We'll see you next week. And don't miss our party at 3 o'clock. We'd love to see you there.